Hi guys, hope you're okay. Hope the practice is going well and it's all coming together. This lesson here is going to follow on from your chord and scale theory lesson, and it's going to show you how to select your chords. Basically, you're going to download the worksheet. The worksheet has got 14 different musical keys on there in which you can practice playing your chords. And the idea is that if you go and make sure you've watched lesson LC4, which talks all about scale theory and chord theory, you'll understand where I'm selecting these chords and why I'm selecting the chords. Now, so you don't have to think about it, what I've done is, let me get this worksheet. There are two sheets attached to this lesson in the blog, and basically they give you 7 major keys, all the natural major keys, so no sharp or flat keys at all, and it gives you the 7 relative minor keys to those major keys. Okay, so what the relative minor keys are, they are basically all the same chords in the major key, they're in the major keys, but they're in a different order, which makes the piece of music you're playing or the progression you're playing sound minor instead of major. So effectively it's a mode of the major scale. So we're actually playing in the Aeolian mode in the natural minor scale. Okay, so but they're all related, so it allows you to kind of put key changes in, if you like, in the middle of songs, although albeit not really key changes, we just go modal. Okay, so we're basically looking at the major keys of C, D, E, F, G, A and B, and the minor keys of A minor, E minor, D minor, C sharp minor, B minor, F sharp minor and G sharp minor. And what you'll notice about the minor keys, the relative minor keys, is they're all related to the 6th note in the major scale. So if you look at your chord practice sheet that's in front of you, what you will see, if you look in the key of C, you've got C is 1, the first note, D, E, F, G, A is the 6th note. So the relative minor key to C major is A minor. Okay, so if you now look at D, you'll see that D has got the notes D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, and that B is the 6th note in the scale. The relative minor key to that is B minor. Okay, so don't worry too much about that in a minute, because we'll go into modes in a far more detail. The idea of this is to get you practicing chords. Now, the way we're going to look at this is, if you look across the sheets, what you've got at the top is your a line that's called scale tones. They're the notes in each key, and then we've got underneath that you've got the chords, and the chords are built on, if you remember from LC4, the major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished pattern of chords. And all these chords are numbered, okay? So they're literally numbered 1 to 7. Simple as that. 1 in the key of C being C major, 2 D minor, 3 E minor, 4 F major, 5 G major, 6 A minor, 7 B diminished. And we're not going to worry about the diminished chords for now at all. We're just going to work through the major and minor chords, okay? The idea of this sheet is so you can practice in a particular key, and you can run through the common chord progressions that you will find in music. So we've got here a 1-5 chord progression. That is the first progression. So a 1-5 in the key of C would be C major and G major. C major is your 1, D, E, F, G major your 5. Okay? You will see chord progressions annotated or described in this way, using Roman numerals. You will see things like a 1-2-5 chord progression, or a 1-4-5, or a 1-5-2. And basically it's just picking those chords out. Now, This becomes a lot easier once you really know your major scale and we've introduced bar chords into your playing. For now, this is the first look, the first pass through at this sheet. All you're going to focus on is the open chords that you've been learning for now. So what that means is, when you come across a chord progression that's got a chord in that you don't know how to play, for now, don't worry about it. Just get used to using the chords you know within a certain key. Okay, so if I explain that for you, in the key of D, your third chord, D, E, F sharp, is an F sharp minor. You don't know how to play an F sharp minor at the minute, okay? If you do, you need to watch the next video in this series, but for now, I'm assuming you don't know an F sharp minor, which is your 3 chord. So if you basically are playing in the key of D and you need to play a 3 chord, it's a progression that you're going to omit for the time being. However, once you've learned how to play your bar chords, this sheet will enable you to play all chords in all keys, and what you'll find is as you're playing it, it will sound as if you are playing songs. Simple as that. It will sound as if you're playing songs. Okay? So, let's look at how we're going to use this. We'll make a start. We're going to look at this key of C. Okay? The key of C will have, other than the B diminished, which you're not going to worry about for now, all the chords are open position chords. So they're all chords that you know how to play, and hopefully you've been practicing. And this exercise is going to really get you changing between those chords. Now, the approach you're going to take is you're going to identify the ones that you find easy, and those are the ones that you're not going to focus a lot of time on. You are going to practice them, but minimal amount of practice on the stuff you find easy. If you find it easy, you don't need to practice it as much. You need to focus on the things that you find difficult. Okay, and as a guitarist, as a human being, your desire will be to just play the things that you find easy. Now you've got to break that desire. You've got to go and focus on the stuff you find hard. Okay, and then use the stuff you find easy to get your songs going. All right, but the practice is all about focusing on the things that you're struggling with and really working on them. Okay, so this is carrying on from various chord practices that we've done so far. The approach we're going to take is the same. We're going to keep it simple. Let's start working through them, and let's identify chords changes that you might find difficult and tell you how to work on them. Okay, so your practice session would be, I'm sitting down tonight and I am deciding I'm going to practice my chords in the key of C. Okay, and you're going to use only chords that work in the key of C, and you're going to use them in a way that makes it sound musical. Simple as that. So let's make a start. I shall put the sheet down where I can see it. We are going to start with the first progression, which is a 1-5 chord progression, which in the key of C is C, D, E, F, G. C major, G major. Okay, so we start off with that C, and we're going to put a simple 4 count on it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then we're going to change. We do the same again. So let's assume you can play it. G, C, G, so we want to finish on the C. Okay, if you're struggling with any of those chords, remember what we talked about. Bounce the particular chords. Work on that change. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink what you're doing, okay? You will have a tendency to think, oh, I'm really struggling with this chord, and you will then basically potentially get worse at playing it. Don't overthink it. Just bounce that one chord. Okay, bounce the chord that you're struggling with. Work on the change you're struggling with. Just keep practicing going between them. And eventually, the muscle memory will develop in your hands and you'll know what you're doing. Okay, remember to keep the thumb on the back of the neck. It's not anchored though. The thumb will move dependent upon the chord that you're fingering. Okay, G, it'll be one way. C, C, it'll be another way. It still wants to be on the back of the neck, but it might rotate towards the headstock. It might point towards the ceiling. Do what's comfortable. Nice bent wrist. Keep that orange in your hand and just make sure those chords are coming. So C to G, that would be the first one. So you practice that until you're comfortable with it. And the idea is, if you've got an hour to practice these chords, don't think that you've got to practice every chord on this sheet in that session. Practice, if you only get down 4, but you're really progressing with 4 chord progressions, that's great. Okay, if you get through them all, that's even better. It probably means it's a key that you don't need to focus on and you can move on to other keys, okay? Or you can start introducing bar chords in. But for now, we're just going to use open chords. Okay, so let's look at a 1-4 chord progression. Now, this may well be a chord progression that you're struggling with. It's a C to an F, okay? It's that horrible chord, the Fing chord, which is a nightmare to play when you first start playing. We've got to learn how to play it. So we start with that C to F, okay? Now remember, C to F, it's not a difficult chord change. You're just moving 2 fingers towards the floor, fingers 2 and 3, 1 string towards the floor, and you're flattening the first finger. You'll be able to move fingers 2 and 3. It will be the flattening of the first finger that's difficult. So we've got to work on this F. So bounce the F. Make sure you've got that muscle memory in your hand, that it stays where you want it while you've bounced it, while it's lifted off the strings. Okay, so C, F, 4 beats, C, F, C, F, C, F, finish on a C. Okay, now going between those 2 chords, you may find that you get a little bit of pain in your wrist. It's quite possible because of the stretch you're introducing into that hand. Don't hurt yourself, okay? If it really starts to hurt, just stop playing those 2 chords, move on to 2 other chords. But it's strengthening your wrists, it's stretching your tendons, so it's going to feel a little uncomfortable. And you need to work through that discomfort because it will strengthen your hand. So I can tell you now that going from C to F consistently for a long period of time hurts my hand. Okay, it hurts my hand in the wrist. Okay, so C to F, a 1-4 chord progression in the key of C. Okay, so now let's look at C to F to G. So we start with the C. F, G. Stay on the G, C, F, G, stay on the G, C. Okay, so what we're doing is we've got a 1-4-5 chord progression there. It's 3 bars of music, and what we want to do is we want to try and make all of these 4 bars of music. Okay, multiples of 4, because it just sounds as if it's finished. If you keep going round in 3s, it doesn't sound finished. Okay, I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's true. It just doesn't sound finished. Okay, so what we've done a 1-4-5 chord progression. 1-4-5 chord progressions appear in so much music, it is unbelievable. Okay, so it's a really good chord progression to understand the relationship between those chords. Okay, your 1 chord is your root chord, your 5 chord is the next best chord to play in any key, and your 4 chord is the one after that, and they all sound really good together, and they all sound as if you could finish on any of them and it would work. Okay, so C, F, G. So what we'll do now is let's look at that, but let's flip that round and let's do a 1-5-4. Okay, instead of a 1-4-5, let's do a 1-5-4. So we're just changing the order of the chords. So now we're going to play C to G to F, staying on there. Now remember, when you're playing these chords, remember how many strings each chord has. Okay, so when you're doing your strumming, try and get accurate with the strumming so you're only hitting the amount of strings that chord actually has. So an F only has 4 strings in it in this particular shape, a C has 5, a G has 6. Okay, your chords will sound better if you're only playing the notes that you want in that chord. Okay, so the great thing about swapping this round is now we're actually, instead of moving from C to F to G, okay, we're moving C to G, which you've already practiced in the 1-5 chord progression. But now we go from G, the 5 chord, to an F. G, F. So we're learning to come to the F from a different shape. Okay, instead of having these anchor fingers from C to F, we're going from G. It's a completely different shape. Everything's got to come off and go on, and you want to try and slam them down as quick as you can with that F. Okay? G, F. That'll be the difficult bit of this chord change. So isolate the difficulty and just practice going backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards on those difficult chords. And once you've sussed out how to do it, build the progression back up to where it wants to be. Okay? So there's 4 chord sequences that we practiced using the first 3 on this sheet. C to G, so we have a 1-5, C to F a 1-4, C to F to G a 1-4-5, and C to G to F a 1-5-4. Okay? So what else can we do? Let's throw some other chords in. Let's look at a 1-6-5, really common chord progression. You'll recognize this as soon as you start playing it. So our 1 chord, let's work through it. 1 chord is C. Okay, our 5 chord is G. We already know. So our 6, G, A. It's A and it's minor. Okay, remember 1, 4 and 5 are major, 2, 3 and 6 are minor. So we're playing C, A minor to G. So C, A minor, G. Okay, 4 bars. C, 2, 3, 4, A minor, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, A minor, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4. Do it again. C, 2, 3, 4, A minor, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Go again. C, A minor, G. Stay there. C, A minor, G, and on that C. Okay, so you can hear already it's a piece of music. It's not just some random chords you've selected. Okay, the idea is that you're getting used to the relationship between these chords. You're getting used to what a 1-6 chord progression sounds like. Do you like it? Okay, could you hear yourself writing a song that has that progression in it? Maybe so. It's a kind of a moody progression. It's not downbeat, but it conveys a different kind of emotion because you've got that minor chord in there. Okay, so let's keep going. So let's work down. So now we're going to do a 1-4-1-5. So this is a 4 bar progression. So we start with that 1, C, your 4, F, 1 is the C, G. So C to F, C, G, C, F, C, G. Keep going. And remember, C, what you're listening for is clean chords. Listen for those bum notes. Try and work them out. C, F, C, G, C. Okay? It's nice, simple. If we change the rhythm, I'll play that chord progression with a different rhythm so you can hear what it might sound like. So. Okay, so just get used to going through them with a simple 4/4 beat. Okay, you're trying to make those chord changes happen. Once the chord changes are coming comfortable, then you take the rhythms that you've been practicing in your other lessons and you apply those rhythms to these chord changes. But for now, it's just keep it simple to build up your expertise in these chord changes. Okay, so let's look at the next one. We've got a 1-5-6-4, 1-5-6-4. 1, we know all these. 1 is C, 5 is G, 6 is A minor, 4 is F. So let's keep it nice and clean. Starting off with the C to G to A minor to F. Okay. C, G, A minor, F, C, G, A minor, F, and again C, G, A minor, F, finish on a C. Okay, so quite simply you can see that every single chord progression we're playing, now that chord progression there sounded like a bit like Let It Be that we've learnt in a different lesson. Now we learnt Let It Be in the key of G, but you could quite easily play Let It Be in the key of C instead of G. And if you know what the chord progression is for a particular song, you can change the key because you can basically pick the right chords for a different key. So if you can't sing a song in a particular key because it's too high, you can move it to another key that you can play it in. Okay, so that's the whole idea of understanding the way these progressions work. And basically, if you go and start playing with other people, you might come across a group of guys and you go to jam and they will just say to you, right, let's play a 1-4-5 chord progression in the key of A. If you know where the note A is or you know what chords the 1-4-5 are, you can play anything with anyone. Once you develop your bar chords, that becomes even easier, okay, because you haven't got to think about everything. You can do it based on patterns and shapes, okay, but we'll get onto that at another time. So the approach to this would be that you start with putting your practice schedule together. Let's look at, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll look at a key that you will have some chords in that you can't play, okay? So if we look at the key of D, okay, and we did say this earlier, but we'll reiterate it. We'll go over it again. If I look at a 1-3-4-5 chord progression in the key of D, that is a D, F sharp minor, G, A. Okay. Now, F sharp minor at the minute you might not be able to play. I would omit that chord and just say, well, I don't know the chord, so I'm not going to practice that progression. But practice all the progressions you can practice in the key of D, because then you'll understand the chords that you find in the key of D. Same as the key of E. The key of E is a really, really popular key with guitarists. because your guitar is tuned to, naturally this string is an E, so it just lends itself to playing in E. Now the interesting thing about that is that if you look at the chords in E, you've got a C sharp minor, F sharp minor, G sharp minor. You've got a lot of minor chords, and you've got a B in there, which you're probably also struggling with at the minute. So one of the most popular keys to play in has got a load of chords that you actually need to be able to play bar chords to be able to play in. So this is why bar chords are so easy. So easy. They're not easy at all. Are so important. Okay, so once you've mastered all these open chords, these open position chords, the idea is that we're going to move on to bar chords. You need to go and watch the videos that exist on them, and effectively, once you've got them, you can play anything, pretty much anything. Okay, and they really get on. So the approach to this is, if you sit down 5 times a week, play in 5 different keys, okay, and get used to the chords that exist in those keys. If you come across a chord that you can't play, omit the progression for now, okay? Focus on what you can do, because with those open chords that you're already learning, there are thousands of songs at your disposal, thousands of songs that you could pick up and play. Okay, so we don't need to stress about bar chords yet, but what we do need to do is we need to really get these open chords coming along really well. This will help you do that, and this will help you do it in a musical context, because like I've said, you're actually playing chords together that belong together. Okay, and so everything you play will actually sound like a piece of music, believe it or not. And you will start playing these chord progressions and you will basically think, oh, I know that song. That sounds like this song or that song or the other. And that's because the way we've picked these chords is the way that music works. Okay, so there are 14 different keys in which you can play. There are plenty of chord progressions to get you using these chords. Okay, take your time, work to a metronome. If you find a chord progression that you can't play, work on it. Not a chord you can't play. If there's a progression you're finding difficult changing in between the chords, focus on those changes. Focus on what you're finding hard, and develop what you're finding difficult, because ultimately it then won't be difficult anymore. So you've got to focus on the stuff that's hard now to make it better. Okay, so sit down, play in a different key every night, work through your chord progressions, take your time, use a metronome, be accurate, bounce chords that you're not familiar with, that you find difficult to play. Make sure that you're putting the F in there because you know the shape. I've shown you that. Make sure that you're putting the B major in there. You've got the shape, you know how to play it. Okay. Make sure you're using the minor chords that you've been learning. Make sure that every single chord that you have a chart for at the minute, you are using in your practice. Okay. Keep it structured. Play a key a night, and these chords will all end up coming together. Okay, I hope it's been useful. If you're unsure about how I've selected the chords and why they're on this sheet, and you want to understand that, which I would say is beneficial for you to do so, go and watch lesson, it's LC004, Scale Theory and Chord Construction it's called. It's an animated lesson. All you do is you hear me talking and I try and show you how it works through pictures. Okay, so enjoy it, keep playing, watch it again if you need to. I'll see you on the next lesson. Take care, cheers.